Welcome to Master 2255 English Phrasal Verbs, complete course with 150 categories for fluency. Today, we've reached category 144, Communication and Conversations. Must-know phrasal verbs for every chat. This category is all about improving your ability to engage in clear, effective, and natural conversations in English. Let's dive into the most essential phrasal verbs for communication. First up is speak up. This means to talk louder or to express your opinion more clearly. For example, if you have a question, don't be afraid to speak up. It's often used to encourage someone to be more assertive or to increase their volume. Next, we have talk over. This means to discuss something before making a decision. For example, let's talk it over before we make a final choice. It's useful for problem solving or making joint decisions. Now let's look at bring up. This means to introduce a topic or issue in a conversation. For example, she brought up the idea of taking a vacation next month. It's often used when starting new discussions or raising important points. Next is cut off. This means to interrupt someone while they are talking. For example, he was explaining his point, but she cut him off in the middle of his sentence. It's often seen in arguments or moments of miscommunication. Now let's talk about put across. This means to communicate an idea clearly. For example, he used simple language to put his message across to the audience. It's all about making sure others understand your message. Next, we have talk down to. This means to speak to someone in a way that makes them feel inferior. For example, don't talk down to your teammates. Treat them with respect. It's often used to criticize someone for being condescending. Another important one is get across. This means to successfully communicate an idea or message. For example, it's hard to get the main idea across when there's too much background noise. It's used when ensuring others fully understand your message. Next up is break in. This means to interrupt a conversation. For example, I hate it when people break in while I'm speaking. It's often used to describe people cutting into conversations at the wrong time. Now let's talk about speak out. This means to publicly express an opinion, often on an important issue. For example, many activists spoke out against the new law. It's used when people take a stand or express strong opinions in public. Next is fill in. This means to provide missing information. For example, can you fill me in on what happened at the meeting? It's used when updating someone on important details they missed. Now, we have call up. This means to contact someone by phone. For example, I'll call up my friend to see if she's free tonight. It's a simple way to refer to making a phone call. Let's move on to chat up. This means to talk to someone in a friendly or flirtatious way. For example, he spent the whole evening chatting up the new coworker. It's often used when someone is trying to start a friendly or romantic conversation. Next, we have drop in. This means to visit someone without prior notice. For example, my neighbor dropped in unexpectedly last night. It's all about surprise visits. Another key phrasal verb is get through to. This means to successfully communicate with someone, often after several attempts. For example, I tried calling him, but I couldn't get through to him. It's often used in the context of phone calls. And finally, we have talk through. This means to discuss something in detail. For example, let's talk through the proposal before we present it to the team. It's used for thorough discussions to clarify points or find solutions. And that's it for category 144. Communication and conversations. Must-know phrasal verbs for every chat. These phrasal verbs are essential for improving your ability to have natural and effective conversations. See you in the next lesson for category 145.